Troy at the Full Setup here, back with another video for you. Now, I was recently approached by a colleague at work wanting to upgrade his PC for a better gaming experience. He currently had a Dell system with an i7-4790, 32GB of RAM and large SSD storage, so I quickly explained to him that although large core count CPUs are at an all-time low, RAM prices and GPU prices have become borderline excessive. So we decided instead of buying a whole new gaming PC, a graphics card, PSU and monitor upgrade would be best for now, and that the i7-4790 is still a more than capable gaming chip. So we waited till Black Friday and managed to get a GTX 1080 paired with an AOC 1440p 144Hz monitor and a 600W PSU for just over £750. Now, he's super happy with his upgrades, and I must say I am really jealous, as I have also wanted an AOC Agon monitor for some time. Anyway, enough about that. What does that have to do with today's video? Well, as a little thank you, he let me borrow his old GPU, and here it is, the mighty R9 270, which can be purchased for about £75 in the UK. Now, this is an OEM version, so expect custom models to perform a little bit better than what you see today. Now, although I have this on a long-term loan, because it's not actually my card, I've decided not to overclock it today, but it will still make for a good test, and today we will be seeing if the £75 R9 270 still has enough grunt left for 1080p gaming. To exclude any bottlenecks, I've paired it with a Coffee Lake i5-8400 at 3.8GHz and 16GB of Corsair Vengeance DDR4 running at 3200MHz on an ASUS Prime Z370A motherboard. So let's start off with some in-game benchmarks. Rise of the Tomb Raider at medium settings with FXA enabled scores a minimum of 28.7 and an average of 48.51 frames per second. Moving on to Shadow of War, again at medium settings, the R9 270 scores a minimum of 21 and an average of 47 frames per second. Far Cry Primal, again at medium settings, scores a minimum of 53 and an average of 59 frames per second. Grand Theft Auto 5 has always been a game that plays better on the video cards and has always been a bit of a weak spot for AMD, but at high settings with advanced graphics off and FXAA enabled, the R9 270 scores a minimum of 45.3 and an average of 81.4 frames per second. Being a Vulcan title, I really did expect Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus to perform really well, but sadly at medium settings the R9 270 scores a 0.1% low of 28.6, a 1% low of 34.8 and an average of 43 frames per second. Need For Speed Payback runs rather well at medium settings and scores a 0.1% low of 46.4, a 1% low of 49.5 and an average of 60.7 frames per second. Moving on to the least demanding game of today, Overwatch. I'm running at high settings with a 100% resolution scale, and the R9 270 scores a 0.1% low of 43.3, a 1% low of 64.1 and an average of 90.7 frames per second. Although AMD Relive game capture is a serious upgrade over the old Plays TV, and I really like the new overlay in the Adrenaline software, it's still no match for Nvidia's Shadowplay. I did plan to add scores for Cod World War 2, Doom and Forza 7, but sadly Relive was causing crashes or just not recording game footage at all. So I will apologise to you that PUBG footage is just B-roll from a previous video, but at low settings the R9 270 scores a 0.1% low of 18.1, a 1% low of 42.8 and an average of 55.2 frames per second. So there are the R9 270 1080p gaming scores, and it performs really well at first-person shooters, driving games and esports titles, but sadly it will struggle to run the most demanding games at medium settings. With current GPU pricing, I really do think that buying last gen used is the best option for now, and at £75 if it plays games you really can't complain, but if power isn't a consideration you can pick up a GTX 680 or even 770s for this price, and I think they would be a better option. So what do you think? I'd be really interested to know. Would you buy an R9 270 for £75, or have you recently upgraded from a 270 to a more powerful GPU? Leave your comments below. Anyway, that's it from me today. If you like the video, leave a like. If you dislike the video, leave a dislike. And if you really like it, make sure you hit that subscribe button.